So you just got done watching the fights. The kids are asleep. The wife's in the other room doing, well, what wives do.
Am I the only one that does a goddamn thing around here? How hard is it to pick up after yourself?
So decision time. You could either go in the other room and deal with...
After all I've done today, you expect me to wanna...
Or keep it locked right here, because it's time for the Billy C post-fight wrap-up on the BillyCBoxing.com network. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Billy C.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Badou Jack James-DeGale post-fight show. I'm glad you guys could be with us. The fight just ended. Joining me right now is my man, Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, we just watched a great fight. Let me tell you, I don't have any problems whatsoever with the outcome. I scored the fight 113-113. I had the fight even. I thought it was extremely entertaining, and I can't wait for a rematch. What's your thoughts?
Billy, 100%, pal. This is what boxing's all about.
Yep.
This is why the fans will stay boxing fans, because this is great. And I scored the fight exactly what you said, 113-113, a draw. And I think it definitely deserves, and we'll be looking for an immediate rematch. Maybe not immediate, but very soon.
Well, I tell you,
I think it was a great fight.
I tell you right now, I was really
ebb and flow.
I was disappointed. First of all, Mario Ronaldo is he's terrible. I just can't stand watching anything when he's commentating. But I was really disappointed in Al Bernstein. Al Bernstein, who I know very well and I respect 100%. He seemed very corporate. I mean,
he was not doing his off the cuff thing. He was very stoic in a lot of his.
Well, delivery. I mean, he was giving Badou Jack so much credit. And, obviously Mayweather, that's his guy, Mayweather Promotions, etc. And when they brought Steve Farhood on, I'm sitting there saying to myself, geez, am I screwing up here? Am I scoring the fight? Am I seeing something different than Al Bernstein, Hall of Famer, seeing? And then when Steve Farhood was giving his scores, they were exactly like mine, and I'm like, okay, good. At least somebody is seeing the fight like me. But just in case you're just tuning in, the unification fight between WBC super middleweight champion Badou Jack against IBF super middleweight champion James-DeGale just ended. It ended in a draw. The way the judges saw it, one judge had it 114-112 for DeGale, while the other two had it the same as myself, 113-113. Jack, his record now is 20 wins, 1 loss, and 3 draws with 12 knockouts. James-DeGale, 23 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 14 knockouts. They both keep their titles. On the undercard, we had a fight between Jose Pedraza and Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis just jumped all over him, and I don't know what Pedraza was doing, but he certainly didn't use his height and arm reach advantage, Sal, because he let Davis fight his fight, and the end result was Davis won by a 7th round TKO, 2 minutes and 36 seconds. A right hook just crushed Pedraza. I was questioning the stoppage a little bit, but I guess in hindsight, it was a good one. Davis improves to 17-0 with 16 knockouts, and he's now the new IBF World Junior Lightweight Champion. Pedraza loses for the first time in his career. Any thoughts on that fight?
No, it was a good fight. I just saw a couple of rounds. I was on stage tonight. I was acting, and I came in, and boom, the fight was on. But I saw the entire fight of this fight, and the DeGale Jack fight was good. I'm going to watch the replay a little later on of the earlier fights.
Well, I'll tell you, getting back to the main event, DeGale Jack, what a great fight. I mean, we had everything that you would want to see in this fight. I thought that DeGale, who claimed that he was in the best shape and had a nutrition person and wasn't going to take rounds off, et cetera, certainly did take some rounds off, slowed down his output. lost a tooth, lost his
Lost his
mouthpiece a couple of times. But listen, we're going to open up the phone lines here in a second. But first, joining us right now is my man Dax Khan. Dax, great fight, man. What's your thoughts?
I was very pleased with this. I knew it was going to be a good fight. We spoke about that in my article. I said it was going to be a good fight. I didn't expect it to be this good.
It was pleasant surprise, right? I mean, I think I'm glad. I mean, it's got me jacked up. Honestly, I've been in a doldrum. I'll be the first to admit it. I mean, the sport has really been bumming me out a little, but and certainly the fights the other night, the Lara fight last night was just horrific. It was a total showcase card. It made me sick. But then to tune in to tonight, with the exception of the Mario Ronaldo BS that I just can't stand listening to, the fights were very entertaining. And I want a rematch. What do you think, Dax? You think they're going to do it or what?
I would love a rematch. I absolutely, I had stated to somebody earlier today, I like both guys, but somebody has to lose. I just don't want to see either one lose because I really do. I'm a fan of both guys. They're class acts. I did, and not to toot my own horn, like I said, last week or the week before when I wrote an article on this, I said, will it set the standard for 2017? And it did. They both performed, so well. And again, Badou Jack showed how much he's evolved as a fighter. James DeGale, I think James DeGale, he kind of was his own worst enemy in this fight. He was moving around a little bit too much. His best moments, when he was doing those single shots, Badou Jack, he wasn't, he was kind of following DeGale around more than cutting the ring off. So I think, James with the low punch output, that is kind of what made it detrimental. Maybe after that first round, when he knocked Jack down, if he would have jumped on him, he might have got that stoppage. But, I'm not disappointed. Matter of fact, I know I'm not disappointed that didn't happen. I would love to see this again. How could you not want to see it again? And I was maybe a little bit bothered by the end. No, well, we got to do it at light heavyweight. We got to, come on, man. Just do it. You know what? This is one of the few fights I'll say, if you got to go up past 160, I'll be happy to watch this at a catchweight. I think DeGale could do 170.
Well, I tell you, I didn't think Jack was hurt when he went down in the first round. It was a knockdown, although DeGale was hurt when he went down in the 12th and final round. The way I had it, I gave the first round, of course, to James DeGale. I gave the second round to DeGale. I gave the third round to DeGale. I gave the fourth round to Jack. I gave the fifth round to DeGale. I gave the sixth round to Jack. Went back to DeGale in the seventh, but the eighth, the ninth, both went to Jack on my card. I had round 10 going to DeGale, and then the last two, 11 and 12, I had going to Badou Jack with the 12th and final round being a 10-8 round. So my scorecard had it even. I'm happy with the result. I'm just glad that the judges saw it the same way, and I think this fight lived up to the billing, and I'm extremely excited about these two fighters. And this is where boxing of yesteryear would immediately come back with a rematch. I hope we go down that road, guys. What do you think?
I think it more than likely will.
I would hope so, right? I mean, the fans are going to want it. Hey, listen, they packed the house, man. The Barkley Center was full. I especially, actually, there were 3 knockdowns in this fight. Jack went down, and DeGale went down, and McCanty Jr.
McCanty was stunned. He was stunned.
Let me tell you something. McCanty Jr., listen, the guy has been terrible in the past, and he did okay. He stayed out of the camera shot. He did okay. He's an overbearing kind of a guy, but I give him a thumbs up. I thought that he did okay. Unlike the previous fight when Aleem and Kaitrov on the undercard, I thought that Claudio he's a terrible referee. He should be banned.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know what? He almost got Kaitrov hurt. I think he should have stopped that fight even sooner.
That's what I was going to say. As far as this fight, I had it 114, 112 for Jack, strictly only because of a few of those rounds, James-DeGale only landed about 3 punches, and he moved a little too much. It was nothing that Jack did overwhelming. So off that is why I gave Jack those couple extra rounds. But again, I can't stress how much I'm glad that neither guy lost. As far as what you were just stating, absolutely, that was a sleeper fight right there. I don't think anybody expected that fight to take place the way it did. Most people favored Kaitrov. Aleem was the unknown undefeated guy. We know how that usually is. Yeah, you're undefeated on paper, but where's going to come? You know, what does that prove till you get into the ring against the name? My only thing I seen wrong with him in this fight was stamina issues. You know, he seemed to have to take those breaks that allowed Kaitrov to get back in there. If he had a little bit better stamina, he had a couple of decent opponents to help build himself up a little more on a higher level. I realized this was the biggest fight of his career. I think Aleem might be a major player in the game. Unfortunately, this silver title that he has is only going to put him in line for the winner of Triple G against Daniel Jacobs. We already know both those guys are having a hard time finding opponents. But, I really like it, and I like this kid. That was a great fight. Kaitrov, back to the drawing board for him. The Serrano-Rivas fight, they ran with that momentum, didn't they? What a great fight put on by the ladies again tonight. Last year, that started at the Barkley Center with Heather Hardy and Shelley Vincent. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, well, I didn't. I really didn't watch that fight, to be honest with you. But as far as Aleem, he shows promise. The thing I'm concerned about Aleem is that he's in the driver's seat. He's fighting, and then all of a sudden, bam! He gets caught with something, and he's in Dream Street. And I think that's going to fail him if he had to step in the ring with a like you mentioned a Triple G or even a Daniel Jacobs. So we'll have to see how he progresses. But hey, Dax, any final thoughts? We're going to open up the phone lines. I'm getting a lot of calls right now. So
two final thoughts on here is the fight between Thomas Delorme was the only downside of that card. That fight should have been stopped. Should never happened. And as far as Davis and Pedraza, I don't know what was going through Pedraza's mind coming out there. I think he was trying to hope that he was going to wear this young kid down. Unfortunately, I see that title being held hostage. That's a stacked division. It's a dangerous division. When I see a kid like Davis who has all the potential in the world, there's no knock on him, but when you're rattled and you're looking at your corner when somebody just walks you into the rope and they kind of lean on you, understand you have Orlando Salido, you have Francisco Vargas, you have Jezreel Corrales, and you have Vasyl Lomachenko in this division, and they are the type of guys that if you put a young kid like Gervonta Davis in there before he has real time to develop, they will ruin this kid, and I do mean ruin him psychologically and physically. So if this kid does not vacate that title and start back again, Floyd Mayweather may be ending this kid's career a little too early. That's my only thought on that. But other than that, it's great talent and a great card, and I hope we get more of these in 2017.
I agree with you, my man. We'll talk to you next week, brother.
All right, everybody, enjoy your night.
That's Dax Khan. You can check him on Monday. He'll give us a roundup of what's going on. Phone line is open. Give us a call. Sal and I want to know what your thoughts were of this fight. 845-228-8710. 845-228-8710. We're going to take one caller at a time. So once somebody's on the line, just wait until they get off. And we'll go from there. 113. That's the way I scored the fight, Sal. That's the way you scored it. That's the way 2 of the 3 judges scored it. That's the way I see the fight going. The punch output and the punch stats that they throw in all the time is all based on subjectivity. And the truth of the matter is they don't really tell the story all the time. I thought that the rounds that were close and some of the ones that I gave to James-DeGale, I gave because he was landing some crisp shots. But, the funny thing is the rounds that Jack won, he was landing the crisp shots. So, I mean, it was like you like to say all the time, an ebb and flow, But
ebb and flow.
Anyway, we got someone on the line right now. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How's it going there, guys? It's Brett from Canada.
My man, Brett. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? What'd you think of the fight?
I thought it was a great fight. What a way to start off 2017, guys. And I'll tell you, I really hope they do a rematch. The one thing that impressed me was DeGale getting in Jack's face there at the very end saying, come on, I want a rematch. Come on, let's do it. Let's do it at 168.
Well, I mean, I think that they should have a rematch, and hopefully they will. I mean, if they don't, whoever doesn't want to have a rematch, a flag would go up, you know, in my opinion. You know, I would think, why wouldn't they want to have a rematch? You know, I mean, the fans want to see it and everything else, you know. But I scored the fight even. Did you score the fight, Brett?
I did, yes. I had the fight even as well. Jack did what he had to do in the last round, and when he knocked down DeGale, I mean, that sealed the draw right there. It was a really good fight. I was really concerned after the first round when Jack went back to his corner and his trainer was saying, "Oh, you're doing great," and I'm thinking, "What the heck are you watching, man? Your fighter just got put on his ass."
Well, but he wasn't hurt though. But he wasn't hurt. I didn't think Jack was hurt after that knockdown. I think he got caught, and you know the thing is listen, I thought Jack coming up was, you know, he was completely coddled and he was fed cupcakes and you know, I didn't have much respect for him. And when he lost to Edwards and got knocked out, this kid, and I talked about it on Friday, you know, this kid has gotten better and better and better. And what I see in Badou Jack is I see a guy that's going to get better. I see a guy that's not going to be what we saw tonight. I think he's only going to get better, and I think a fight like this against James DeGale will certainly make him better, and so will a rematch. I think Jack wins the rematch, to be honest with you. I think that his big weakness, in my opinion, fellas, and you let me know what you think, I think Jack's biggest weakness is defense. He was getting hit a lot. Although DeGale should have been a little smarter with his game plan, I thought that when he did let his hands go, Jack was susceptible to catching some shots. I'd like to see him tighten up his D a little bit. What do you guys think?
Well, the one thing I did like that his trainer told him at the end of the fourth round was he said, "You're letting DeGale move too much. Cut off the ring." And I'll tell you, it was like a light went on in Jack's head because he started cutting the ring off. He started to keep him from using his movement, and he started to throw that uppercut, which I thought DeGale was susceptible to the whole night, and he caught him time after time. So I agree with you, Billy C. I think if they do have a rematch, I think Jack will win. He's got more power, and DeGale's face was certainly showing it at the end of the fight.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. DeGale has sneaky power, you know, because some of the close rounds that I scored for James DeGale, I scored because I felt that he did the more damaging punches as the fight was going on. You know, it's hard to score a fight if you're watching it, and then at the end of it, when the bell sounds, you think to yourself, you know, who won that round, and you're thinking that last minute, you know, it's one thing when Steve Farhood says it best when you're judging a fight. There's 3 minutes. You basically have 3 parts of a round to score. If you score like, you know, who came on at the end, you know, fighters could steal rounds all the time. It's 3 full minutes. You know, so if one guy lands a couple of shots towards the end, that doesn't justify giving him a round. So I thought this fight was even. I can't stand the way they throw in the stats because they're all subjective, and it's going to be interesting to see what other people think. You know.
I agree.
You know, so,
absolutely, yes.
But yeah, Brett, we appreciate you coming in. Did you get to see the other fight? What'd you think of the Pedraza loss to whoever he fought? I can't even think of who he fought right now.
Well, thankfully, Pedraza
Davis.
was a good loser because he got his ass kicked. I couldn't believe it, guys, how he didn't use his height, he didn't use his reach, he didn't use any movement. He just stood in front, and he let that kid just pound on him. Like he let the kid throw hooks, combinations, straight rights, and he was even trying to do the oozing machismo, where he would just stand there with his hands down and let himself get hit, and it caught up to him.
Yeah.
So I think this kid, he's a talented fighter, and I really can't wait to see him again. I just wish he was with a different promoter than Floyd.
Who? Which?
Gotta be honest.
You're talking about Gervonta Davis, or you're talking about Badou Jack?
Davis, yes.
Yeah,
Davis.
I think Davis has all the skill. I mean, he's got hand speed, and I think that if he can go a full 10 rounds, 12 rounds, which he hasn't done yet, I think that's his last hurdle. You know, he seems like a good fighter, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again for sure.
Definitely.
Well, listen, Brett, we got some other callers coming in. I want to try and take some other calls, but listen, man, we appreciate you calling big time, my man. So hopefully we'll hear from you again.
Absolutely, guys. I'm looking forward to this show in 2017, and I'm glad you're doing these post-fight shows on a regular basis. So
yeah,
have a good night, guys.
We're gonna do these, Brett, or after every major fight this year. So it's something that we enjoy doing, and we do pretty well at it. So you stay up late, you give us a shout, my man.
Definitely will. You guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you again.
Hey, Brett, the best to your family, all right?
Okay, thanks, Billy C. See you, Sal.
All right, brother.
Thank you, man. Thanks for calling Brett. My best to you and family.
Jeez, Brett's got me thinking of chocolate all of a sudden. Sal.
I kept the wrapper. I got it right in front of me. 'Cause I liked it. No, I liked it that much.
Phone line is open, 845-228-8710.
But then again, you see a lot of my blue buckets, right?
Yeah. Hey, I was keeping it on the lowdown, you know? I mean, you want me to bring that up? 845-228-8710. I know there was a lot of you guys trying to call in. We're only going to take one caller at a time. So, if you try and you don't get on, just try again. But, the Davis fight was an interesting fight, Sal. So when you get a chance to watch it, you'll see that Gervonta Davis is definitely a good young fighter to keep an eye on. He's now a world champion. He's the IBF World Junior Lightweight Champion.
Yeah,
so,
I saw the end of that. That's a great thing. And how old is he now?
He's 22 years old, so it'll be good. But anyway, we got someone else on the line. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, Billy? This is Joey from Indiana.
Hey, Joe from Indiana. What's up, my man? What'd you think of the fight?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I was just happy, that the crowd that turned up to Brooklyn tonight. I mean, I got a feeling that that Barkley Center is going to be the spot for boxing. I know back in the day it was the Garden was the Mecca, but man, just for a huge turnout, and it seemed like the crowd was into it, and I was into it, and I just really enjoyed the fights. I'm not really a good judge here. I mean, it was a close call. I was kind of rooting for Badou Jack, but I could just see how it can be a draw, And I was just the fighter that impressed me the most was Gervonta Davis. Me being Puerto Rican, I was going for Pedraza. I don't know what it is. That's how I was wanting to ask Sal, with Pedraza being a veteran, why did he wait so late in the fight to change like his style? He was fighting like if he was a beginner. He was just standing there in the beginning of the rounds getting tuned up by Tank. So I was just wondering if you too, Billy, if you could just maybe give me some reasons of why you think Pedraza just stood there and took them hits in the beginning.
Well, I mean, I'll answer first, and then Sal, you give your thoughts. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that his game plan, and I don't know this for a fact, Joe, but I think his game plan was to try to get Davis into the later rounds, because Davis had never went beyond the ninth. I don't think he's ever been in the ninth round. I think all his fights ended before the end of the ninth round. So I think that Pedraza was trying to get him into those deeper waters, and unfortunately was playing his game. I think that he was hoping that he was going to tire himself out, and he might have been on the right path, because Davis did look at times like he was slowing his punch output. But it always boils down to what got me into boxing, a short essay written by Jack London called A Piece of Steak, and it was basically about a young fighter fighting an older fighter. Not that Pedraza was so old, but hey, Davis is 22 years old, man. Youth helps you get by a lot of stuff, and fatigue is one of the first things it helps you with. So I think Pedraza's game plan was to try to get him into the later rounds. Didn't work out. Davis came out on top, and I think he's going to be a great fighter to keep an eye on. What do you think, Sal?
I think you're right. He's a good young fighter, and I agree. I think that Pedraza wanted to try and get him into late rounds. There's a young buck and everything else, and got to test him in the deep water, and it just backfired. I think his strategy failed him greatly, and I think we're going to see some great things from this young fighter.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, hey,
and
I got another.
But wait,
Sorry, guys.
Joe, hold on. I wanted to comment on your initial thoughts about the Barkley Center and the crowd and everything else. Because
I think he's right on.
Yeah, no, me too. And I applaud you for that. I think you're right. I think that the Barkley Center is trying to be the main spot in New York. The people at Barclays go out of their way to win these purse bids, to bring these big fights. They are set up, especially with the rules in New York now, that only the big fights will be allowed to be, or will be able to be fought in New York. So I think you're right on. And as long as the crowds show up and support it, they're going to keep doing it. And it was clearly a big crowd. And that was also very encouraging, because you could make the argument that they're two fighters that really weren't in the press that much, So I like it. And I was also happy with how many DeGale fans showed up as well. So, yeah, it was a great point you made, man.
Yeah, that's what I think, Billy and Sal. It's like, not only it's great to see that, but I visited. I went to the Thurman Porter fight last year.
Oh, wow.
But I think PBC, they get a bad rap here and there, but overall, in Lou DiBella, their ticket prices are reasonable. And I think that's a thing, too, for guys, 9-to-5ers like me. When you look at a ticket price, you're like, okay, if I really want to sit on the floor seats, it ain't going to cost, $1,000, $2,000 like you would do a Canelo fight or something. For these fights, you could have got some really nice seats for, close to $50, $100. So I think the way they're pricing is pretty good, and I hope that continues. Like I'm close to Cincinnati, so I'll be attending the Broner fight next month. It's only a couple hours away, and man, I got floor seats for about $260.
Well,
that's face value. So that
just goes to show you that Adrian Broner's got a lot of rebuilding his image to do. Right? When you can sit in a corner with Adrian Broner and it costs you about $16, then he needs to do some work, right?
Yeah, I had one more point, guys. I totally forgot. I'm just excited. Boxing's back, and I thought I could just got off on a good note today, and hopefully we keep this momentum rolling. 2016 was a rough one, but I think like fights like this is really gonna bring it back and give us something to talk about, give you more shows to do, post shows. So I'm just glad to be part of the show, and glad boxing's back for 2017. But that's all I got, Sal and Bill. You guys take care of yourself.
All right, Joe, man. Thanks for calling, and keep on listening to
Thank
us,
you.
man. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the call.
Joe makes some great points, Sal.
He sure does.
And I tell you, I think that I think that the fight was worthy. I loved the fact that that the fight. To tell you the truth, I love the fact that it came out even, and I thought that the decision was right, and I couldn't see it going any other way. I like both fighters, but I picked DeGale. I thought DeGale's boxing experience would prevail. I was more interested in Jack. I'm more of a fan of Badou Jack's because I love an underdog. I love a fighter that climbed back up on that horse, and he's getting better and better, and I think he wins the rematch. I think DeGale got busted up, man. He got a tooth knocked out. I mean, that's got to hurt. I mean, that's got to change your focus on that. But no, I think that the fight was a draw, and I'm happy with the decision.
Yeah, I'm happy with the decision, and it's so funny because Badou Jack came on maybe a little bit too late. I mean, he came on. The momentum was definitely swinging in his favor, but I did have DeGale winning a lot of those earlier rounds, and that's why it became a good draw, and it was a good, solid fight. But you know what? I'll tell you what. Jack looked like the stronger fighter. Jack looks like more of the momentum on his side. He has to close a couple things in on his defense, but I think he's going to definitely be one to win that rematch if they get a chance to do it.
Yeah, I think he's got to tighten up his defense. We got somebody on the line right now. What's your name? Where you calling from? And turn off the show because we're hearing you in the background, bro.
Hey, Bill, it's Alex from Tampa.
Alex, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Hey, Billy, things are going pretty well. I thought overall, man, it was a great showing for boxing. I don't think anyone had any idea that fight between Jack and DeGale was going to go that way. I know I sure didn't. I really thought that DeGale was probably going to really outclass Jack. I mean, I thought it would be competitive. I didn't think it would be any knockout in the fight. But, man, I mean, what can you say about Badou Jack, man? Like, he, to me, is the personification of a great basic fighter. He is a great basic fighter. I mean, he doesn't do anything great. He stays balanced on his feet. Like, when he comes forward, he cuts the ring off really well. Like, he trots over like you should. He's not switching his feet over. Basic punches. He's not a really strong power puncher, but he's just a great basic fighter. And what we have to realize is that, man, he was in the ring with the Olympic gold medalist. And so, and with all the talent that Jack-DeGale has and everything that he possesses, being able to fight, orthodox, being able to fight southpaw, just, having the good hand speed. I mean, a fighter that has nothing like, Badou Jack has no great attributes other than that he's a great. I mean, when I say great, I really mean that he's just a great basic fighter. He doesn't do anything good. Like there's nothing great that he does other than just the basic fundamentals of boxing. And I think it was a good night of boxing. I mean, I'm not sure why some people are arguing over the fact of it being a draw. I mean, I thought a draw was in line. It's not one of these draws that couldn't be a draw. I mean, two guys got knocked down first round and 12th round, and there was some swings here and there. But overall, I mean, I thought DeGale would win it. But again, I mean, this is something I've spoke about with some people in the past. Is that, man, when you look at this guy, Badou Jack, I mean, there's nothing about him that wows you, but his training, I know he was with Eddie Mustafa at one point. Like, he just has great fundamentals, superior fundamentals. I mean, and I think that's what really carried him in the fight, and he's very durable.
Listen,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you make an interesting point, Alex, that he doesn't do anything superb, that he's a really good ordinary fighter. But what I like about him is he's working on that, and he is getting better and better. If you look at his last half a dozen fights, specifically since he got knocked out in the first round, he has gotten better and better. And this fight is going to propel him, into that next level. He's not in the top, regardless of the fact that he's a world champion. I don't think that he's an A-level fighter yet. I'm talking about Jack. But I think that this fight against DeGale may help him get there. Listen, the fight was a draw. I mean, you can say what you want. Not that you aren't saying it was a draw, but the fight was even, and they each had their moments. They each landed harder shots at specific rounds, and at the end, when you tallied it up, came out to be a draw. I think it was the right decision, and I don't think anybody should be upset about it. I don't think anyone won this fight hands down, and that they were robbed or anything like that. So I think it's great to kick off the year with a fight like this, and I think that what's going to keep it going is the fighters. If the fighters are willing to fight these kinds of fights, then we're in great shape. It's the fighters that are not willing to fight these fights and want the easy way out, that puts us in the doldrums. What were you going to say, Sal?
I was going to say, I like Alex's comments and how he, was saying that Jack, he put it all together, but there wasn't really one attribute that really stands out. But I had a flashback, and it reminded me just of another middleweight that had basic attributes, but he had the heart, desire, conditioning of any champion, and that was Vito Antuofermo a couple decades ago. Yeah. He didn't have an overly big pop, but he could take a punch. He was durable, and he was always in the mix, and he was always in a fight. He even fought Marvin Hagler to a draw. So I see that, and I see Alex was pretty right on with the Jack thing. But I think Jack is still learning and still getting better and better, and I think that Jack is going to be one that we can look at for many years to come.
Hey, Alex, I'll tell you one other thing. Remember this. They said Rocky Marciano wasn't. They all laughed at him. They said, "You do nothing right. You throw no punches right.
Exactly.
You don't have any defense."
They did. He was balanced. His feet were squared.
Yeah. So his conditioning and heart and power
Rocky
helped him.
Marciano hit like no one else at that time. I wouldn't necessarily. He punched like a mule. So and during that time, the heavyweights were so much smaller. So I wouldn't necessarily put him in the Marciano category just based on Marciano having that punch during that time. But honestly, I definitely understand the 2 points you guys are making. But I just wanted to make one thing, because I know there's other callers on the line, is that I know Floyd and Jack were talking towards the end of the fight, him moving up to 75. I mean, unless he fights some of these lower tier guys, like maybe. I see him and Pascal being a good fight, but I just don't see him being very competitive at 175. I know his body is probably outgrown the 168, but the guy is 34 years old. So I don't know how much better he gets. We think he's in his 20s, but this guy is 34. He's a young 34, but nonetheless, I just don't see how much more he's going to get at 34 in terms of boxing skills. And 2, how is this guy going to compete with the likes of Kovalev, with the likes of Adonis Stevenson?
Even Andre Ward. I don't see him in that weight. I really don't. I don't see him in that.
Yeah, and even if he fights Ward, I don't think Ward knocks him out. But I think But again, I don't think he could beat a Ward. But I'm just saying, my point is that when he goes up and then Joe Smith Jr. These guys, the 75 division is filled with big punchers. Beater Beeve, and you got a lot of these Eastern Bloc guys. A lot of them coming out with this power, and there's a lot associated with that, with a lot of the Russian, that whole crowd with the PDs. I'm not going to get into that. That's a little bit off topic, but a lot of these guys are just big punchers, and I just don't see where he's going to be at in the landscape of the 175-pound. But, I'll hang up, and you guys have a good night.
Thanks, Alex. Have a great one. Thanks for the call.
You do the same.
He makes a good point. We're still taking calls. A lot of people calling in. We're only going to take one at a time. So 845-228-8710. Give us a call. Let us know what you thought of the fight. As far as Alex's comment about Badou Jack wanting to move up in weight, he weighed 167 and 3/4 pounds for this fight for the weigh-in. He didn't look overly big in the fight.
No, he didn't. He didn't look big at all.
As a matter of fact, I thought he looked smaller than DeGale. And I think Alex is 100% dead nuts on. I mean, you move up and fight a guy like Kovalev or even Adonis Stevenson or Joe Smith Jr., you're asking for trouble. I mean, Andre Ward is a chicken shit. And he's gonna duck, and he's basically wearing the Floyd Mayweather dress now. So I don't even include him.
Well, I would see Andre Ward beating this guy.
Andre Ward, yeah, but that's only because he doesn't engage or anything like that. But we got another caller on the line. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Or maybe not. I think I might have just hung up on him.
Call back.
But anyway, I guess I did. So, but. We will get the next caller. 845-228-8710 is the number to give us a call on. So give us a shout, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I loved the fight. I thought it kicked off the season great. I certainly didn't like the broadcast in terms of Mario Ronaldo. I think he's the worst. I just can't stand with all this stupid comments and yelling and screaming during the thing. Paulie Malignaggi said some interesting facts, but I was a little upset with my buddy Al Bernstein. I thought that he was very biased. It almost seems like he was wearing the corporate hat tonight, Sal, and that's usually not like him. Usually he doesn't say anything. Today he kept saying everything about Jack, but Joe Jack's landing hard punches. Oh, he's landing this, and I'm watching a fight, and I'm saying, okay, you got to keep in mind when you're ringside, it's definitely different than watching it from your couch. But at the end of the day, I'm not so sure, man. I thought I was really disappointed with that. But we got somebody else on the line. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on?
All right, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I'm in Miami right now, but I have a Newport. What's up?
Good deal. Hey. Good deal. What'd you think of the fight?
It was a good fight. Don't get me wrong. It was a good fight. But I can't believe how that telecast has everyone so brainwashed. Can you honestly sit there and tell me, okay, minus the two rounds with the fucking knockdowns, minus those.
Yeah.
You can honestly give Badou Jack 5 rounds out of those 10?
I scored the fight even. So I had
5 rounds.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did land some shots. He knocked the mouthpiece out of DeGale's face a few times. He busted him up. I don't think Jack won the fight, but I don't think DeGale won either. I thought the decision was right, man.
I gave
Jack the 3rd round, the 5th round, 6th round, 8th, 9th.
Okay, so the middle rounds. I mean, what about the telecast, the Showtime telecast? How many times did they praise James DeGale for any of the work that he was doing?
They didn't. No. You're right. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. So you know that swayed your opinion. And since when the fuck does it take fucking 15 minutes to tally up 3 scorecards? Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, that's because they had to take off. They had to take their shoes and socks off to add it up. But listen, I just said before you came on. Well, we just lost you. Sorry, bro. But I just said before he came on that I thought that Al Bernstein was a little biased and acting too corporate, but the fight was even, man. I mean,
fight was even.
DeGale let the fight slip away
through the 8th round. He was 1 point ahead through the 8th round. He built an early lead. Middle rounds, I saw Jack coming on, and I think that Jack won probably the last 3 of the 5 rounds. No, last 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, look, I had him win the last 3 of the 5 rounds.
Yeah, I had him. I 845-228-87.
And it was the 10-8 round in the 12th that really.
Yeah, I had him. I had him
Close it in.
winning. I had him winning the 9th, the
I had
11th,
him
and
winning
12th. The 9th, 11th, and 12th. I had him.
I had
winning.
him losing the 11th.
You had Jack losing the 11th. I gave the 9th, 11th, and 12th to Jack, and I also gave Jack the 6th and 8th. Those were the ones I
gave Jack the 6th and 8th too.
Yeah, I gave DeGale the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, and the 10th. That's how my scorecard.
I gave him the 1st, the 2nd, the 4th, the 7th, the 10th, and the 11th.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen. The bottom line was that the
It's
fight,
a draw.
The bottom line is it's a draw, and it's a legitimate draw, and it's the right. It was the right decision. That's
good.
my opinion. You know, it was the right decision as
Definitely-
far as their performances.
I definitely agree, man.
As far as the X's and O's of their performances, Sal. You know, I look at James DeGale, and I thought that he didn't do what he should have done more. I know that's easy to say, but he has the better boxing ability. He snaps a much better jab, which he wasn't doing. He had better footwork, and at times I felt he was able to move around. And at times I felt that Jack wasn't cutting the ring off successfully.
No, he
was more like chasing him around the ring. Now there were times where he did cut off the ring, but it seemed like he had to think too much to cut the ring off. And when a fighter's not cutting a ring off automatically, that's when a good boxer should be taking advantage. And I think James DeGale let it slip through his fingers. Now, with that said, I don't believe that his nutritionist helped him. I think that he did run out of gas. And I think that's where Badou Jack came in strong. He didn't run out of gas, and he seemed to get stronger. But like I said earlier, as far as what each fighter can do, I think Jack needs to tighten up his D, and I think that James DeGale needs to be able to fight nonstop for 12 rounds. I mean, I think that's this kid's weakness.
Billy, I'll tell you what, if it was a 15-round fight, I think Jack would have won.
I'll tell you what, if James DeGale didn't hold, he remembered to hold after he took way too many more shots after he was dropped in the last round. It's a good thing that he did finally hold on. And I'll tell you another thing. I'm not a big fan of McCanty Jr., but he could have disqualified him not only in the last round when he picked up his mouthpiece again, but in the prior round where the corner had to run out and steal it from the ring apron while McCanty was drinking water in the corner of the other fighter.
I think McCanty might have gotten some smelling salts, too.
I don't know. He had blood on his face. I think he was liking that. But maybe we'll take one more caller, 845-228-8710. That last caller that we lost, he was, I guess his point was that he felt that DeGale won that fight hands down. But I do agree that the broadcast was biased. But let's be real. Showtime is basically in bed with Mayweather Promotions, and they all work for Mayweather Promotions, and they were talking positively about Mayweather Promotion fighters. That's all. I mean, we hear that all the time. That's what I hate about Showtime, and specifically Mario Ronaldo. He's terrible. But aside from that, you mute it out, and that's another thing I like to do when I watch those fights is I like to mute them. So I can enjoy the fights. I don't want to listen to that ass. He's an asshole. Mario Ronaldo is the biggest asshole I've ever seen doing television. Really, I don't know why he's lasted. He's a wrestling guy, and he should have stayed in wrestling because that's the kind of voice he's got.
Well, it's funny you should say that, but because I see where you're coming from with that. But I just want to say that it was a good fight overall, and this is why we are boxing fans, and this is what we come back to see. And I know not every fight could be like this, but it certainly is one that we can look forward to whenever we get the opportunity to get a good glimpse of what boxing in a true squared circle is all about.
Well, I think that I think that it was a good fight. It was a fight that we wanted. It was a relative fight. It was relevant in the division, and I just don't understand why fighters are so quick to jump out of their weight class and move up. It's not like there's that many big things for either fighter at 175. I think that there's big things right now to get a rematch, and that's what I would do if I was these fighters.
I think so. I want to see a rematch, and I think that's a natural course that they should take. Any more callers on the line, Bill?
I wanted to take one more, but it's no big deal. No, I was looking at some. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to you.
They're reading.
I got all the chat. I got all the chats going on and stuff like that.
We got a lot of people in the chat room.
Yeah, I was just for everybody watching on a stream or on our YouTube channel or on Fight TV, we appreciate you joining us. We do. I know that there's many chat rooms with the different vehicles that we're on, but the one that we communicate with and participate in is the one that's up on BillyCBoxing.com. So if you want to be part of that chat, come on over there. But we wanted to take one more caller, but I was hanging up on everybody when we had the callers on. But 845-228-8710. If we don't get another caller, let's wrap it up, Sal. All in all, I think that the fight itself was a good one. It was a real good one, actually, and I'm excited. I hope that some other fights that are coming down the pike will live up to what we just saw.
I think so, and like I said, I don't want to sound too redundant here, but I love it, and this is why we are fight fans. This is why we love the sport of boxing. And someone in the chat room said it earlier. A fight like this beats out other sports when people could look at this, and I agree. I mean, this is a war of attrition. It's the battle of the minds, the heart, the soul, and who wants it more. And I saw DeGale. I liked him early. He was coming in and out. He had some good lateral movement. He had some quick hands and combinations. But Jack still had, his feet underneath him pretty solid, and he kept moving forward, and he looked for the opportunities. He landed some good, clean shots, and I think even some of the body shots took their toll, and that's why the fight was scored an even fight. It was a good war, back and forth, a little ebb and flow.
I think I'm glad that it came out like that.
Me too.
I think that was the fair decision, and I don't think you could make the argument that DeGale did land some good shots, but you could counter that with so did Jack. So
yeah, he did.
I just listen. If you break down, it's pretty simple to score if you know what you're looking at, and when you have a scorecard, I've scored many fights, and I've scored them professionally, ringside with a commission. And the way it works is you have a little scorecard, and you write what you think, and you hand it in to the commission. So it's not like you're tallying it up the way we do now. Like I tally it up as I'm going along now. But when you're scoring a fight live, you're not doing that. You got a little piece of paper, and you write, what your score is, who won it, and you hand it to the commission. Then the next round, you do the same thing. And then they tally it up. So at the end of the day, you're focusing on round by round, minute by minute, and you add up the cards, and that's how you determine a winner. It's easy to say, oh, so and so won the fight, by the last image in your head of that fighter, and I could see where people that don't know boxing watch the fight, and at the end, Badou Jack is the guy that looked like he was dominating. He dropped and hurt, and let's be real, James DeGale was in some serious trouble there. He hurt him. It looked like he was going to finish him off. He seemed to be the fresher guy. He seemed to be the guy with the less bruises on his face. So at the end of the day, the last bell sounds, it's easy for people to say, hey, that Jack guy must have won. But if you were scoring it all along, you'd end up with a scorecard like you and I had. That's what I think.
I agree, Bill, and you made a good assessment and analogy right there of how it's scored and what we do to make a fight seem fair with the way we do score a fight.
Right, right. So anyway, well, listen, we'll wrap it up, Sal. I'm glad you got a chance to in your busy night of acting and everything.
Boy, was it ever,
I'm glad
Billy.
you had a
gosh.
chance to watch the fights. They were certainly worth it, and we'll talk more about this fight on our show on Monday. Now, if you just happen to stumble across this post-fight show, we air Monday through Friday right here on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING. You can also check us out on BillyCBoxing.com. And, of course, we're on Fight TV. That's right. You can download the app and watch us on your handheld. Just go to www.fight.tv. That's FITE.tv/Billy C. Download the app and check us out. And would appreciate it. And we also appreciate Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria, an Italian restaurant, for making this show and our daily show happen. So, Sal, would like to thank you for that. And for anybody,
Thank you.
Wondering about Sal and how you can get there, visit the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Hey, Sal, I'm looking forward to Monday. We got Dax Khan scheduled to give us his thoughts on a bunch of stuff, some crazy experience he had at the Barkley Center the other night. I'm sure he's going to tell us about. We'll talk more about the fights from this weekend, especially the one that we just watched, and some other ones, and some news like the announcement that Canelo Alvarez, the new game chicken, is going to be fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And it really does seem like that Floyd Mayweather is going to fight Conor McGregor.
Unbelievable.
Which I'm shocked. I'm actually disappointed in Floyd for that because I'm not a big fan of Floyd. Everybody knows I can't stand the guy, but integrity and like he said, he's a businessman. But he for a sport that made him so wealthy and put him on the map and made him a recognizable figure, to kind of kick it to the curb for greed, something that he really doesn't need. I don't know. The fight's not going to be competitive. Floyd will dance around and beat this guy. So, I would have much rather have seen Floyd fighting, Manny Pacquiao or Triple G or somebody like that.
Yes.
But hey, we got one more caller. Let's get one more caller.
All right.
We got one more caller on the line. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Billy, it's Joe.
Hey, Joel, my man. I was wondering why
What's
you
up, guys?
What'd you think of the fight, brother?
I'll be quick. I thought it was a good fight. I was a little distracted during the Davis-Pedraza fight, but I really got to say it was a great way to kick off 2017. Like some of the other callers said, and I just, I thought the fight was going to be close. When they showed the stats, I thought Badou Jack was going to win a split decision. I can't complain with the draw, but it seems to me like some WWE stuff. Let's do a rematch. I don't know. I mean, do you think that's what's possible next? Do you think they go in separate directions?
I think they need to do a rematch. If they go in separate directions, the momentum that we could possibly pick up with a fight like this, and the interest continuing for a rematch. So in a sense, continuing this fight to the 13th round, so to speak, and going further, would shoot it in the foot. If they prolong a rematch and they, want these guys to fight somebody else first and make it wait, that's what's hurting the sport right now. We need a rematch. Their next fight should be against each other. It may be over in England, maybe in England this time.
I'd be happy with that. I just want to say it was great in terms of the crowd. I'm glad boxing is back in New York after a couple months, away. This was the first big card in New York since that whole insurance nonsense. Really excited about that. Let's see more at the Barkley Center. The Barkley Center is a lot easier for television cameras with their elevators and stuff, because I heard you talking about, Barclays being the place for fights. I know it's very easy. It's much easier than MSG for TV purposes, for the TV, like Showtime and HBO. But, as long as we have boxing and MSG and Barclays and we have crowds like we did tonight that I saw in Showtime, I'm a happy person, and we had a great fight. The Aleem Kaitrov fight, very exciting. Love that fight. I just thought it was a great night. I missed the women's fight. I had to do something, but overall I was very happy with the first big card of 2017.
Yeah, no doubt, and boxing needed it, and hopefully we can keep it going, man. Just pass the baton to the next one. We got Leo Santa Cruz and Carl Frampton coming up. We got Anthony Joshua against Vladimir Klitschko coming up. We got Triple G against Daniel Jacobs coming up. Yeah. We really do got some really good fights coming up, man. Unfortunately,
I can't wait for Triple G and Jacobs. I think I'm skipping Cotto and Kirkland, but man, things like Triple G and Jacobs, MSG. It's going to be a sold-out crowd. I don't care about the buy rates, but just that energy that the fans have in New York for, Triple G and Daniel Jacobs being from, I think, Brownsville. I mean, that right there, man, is, the next thing. And then, like you said, Klitschko and Joshua. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a strong 2017. We have some fights that we don't care about, like Kirkland Cotto, but, that's boxing, and it's a money sport. Really quick to answer your question, I think there's a lot of bickering between Conor and Mayweather. I'll tell you firsthand, I think Mayweather always should be the A side. He generates a lot more money. Do I think the fight's ever going to happen? Probably not. And if it did happen, I think I said to you on the show when I called it a couple weeks ago, I think Mayweather would completely school Conor. Conor doesn't have the gas tank. I think we're just going to see a lot of WWE stuff where they talk back and forth, but I ultimately don't think it'll ever come to fruition, and I don't think we'll ever see the fight, but that's just me.
I hope not, but it sounded like he was serious tonight. But anyway, Joe, it was great hearing from you.
Yes, Sal, you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for letting me get in. I know you were going to get out, and I just wanted to call in, so thank you so much. God bless. Happy New Year to you both, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, brother.
All the best to you too, pal. Happy 2017. Thank you.
We love
Thank
Joe.
you, guys. All right. Have a good night.
Joel's a great guy. I'm glad he's part of it. But anyway, hey, listen, we're glad that you guys stopped by for our post-fight show. This is something we're going to be doing more of this year. Our show has been around now. We're in our 14th year already. So if you love boxing and other sports, I'm sure you're going to love the Billy C. Morning Show. So check us out. You can get all the information by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, or just go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkinboxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. Well, listen, Sal, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everybody watching. So I'm going to leave everybody with this. Hey, make sure you tune in Monday morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.
That's my cue.